Ronan looked bewildered at the other person walking closer to him. The student nearby seemed extremely excited. He was a Shiliefan. I didn't expect that I would meet the rising star of the Empire here. Maria reminded Ronan, it seems like he has something to tell you. A cell next to him trembled. The atmosphere around him was so scary. Ronan was equally worried. The opponent's appearance was still the same as before. Can't stand anyone better at swordsmanship than him, that fierce attitude. You need to avoid conflicts. Then Ronan hesitantly said, I didn't know that I ranked first. This comment seemed to make Shiliefan even more upset. Why did you lie? Ronan said urgently. What do you mean? You said you don't know. You don't know. Do you want proof? Don't cause trouble and just move on. Shiliefan drew his sword, as if he wanted to use the sword as an answer. Then suddenly attacked Ronan. Fortunately, Ronan reacted quickly and blocked it. He didn't seem to expect the opponent to strike such a dangerous blow. Maria and Acel were extremely worried about Ronan. Shiliefan said coldly, isn't this proof enough? If you weren't ranked first, you wouldn't be able to block that attack. Learn from the surroundings to shout at each other and fight. Shiliefan didn't care about his surroundings and challenged Ronan, show me the skill that made you surpass me, even though he tried to avoid it. But the opponent still didn't let go. Ronan was extremely frustrated. This time he rushed forward to attack the opponent himself. Let me show you. He jumped into the air and continuously fired 3 swords. Shiliefan was completely incapable of fighting back. He could only ignore it. Right at the moment of danger, Shiliefan finally swung his sword in time to block it. Ronan angrily shouted at him, you're crazy, aren't you happy? Shiliefan was silent for a long time and looked down at his trembling hands. Only then was he able to calm himself down and reply, no wonder you receive high scores, your technique is good. But it's just as I thought. That wasn't enough to defeat me. After saying that, he rushed towards Ronan and attacked. This determined state of his makes Ronan startled. Have you lost your mind? Calm down. Shiliefan hasn't lost any of his strength but has even increased it. Not only that, he doesn't even use to urge Ronan. Fight with all your strength. It seemed that being robbed of the top position made him extremely angry. Even unacceptable, Shiliefan compresses this wrath into the next blows. Just dodging the attack, Ronan was extremely worried. This idiot. Do you want to rush to your death? This is why I don't want to run into him. At this rate he'll start using aura. The situation is getting worse. Shiliefan can create a whirlwind from just one blow of his sword. The intense aura is called Sword Storm. Ronan will not be able to resist it. Then he used his strategy by turning his back. This action of his made Shiliefan angry. What are you doing, turning your back on your opponent in a match? Ronan didn't pay attention to the other person's words and ran towards Acel. Shiliefan followed behind. Acel was startled when he saw Ronan taking me as a hostage. He was stunned. Shiliefan paused. He was insulted by his gentle actions, using a lady as a shield and calling himself a knight. Acel helplessly explained, I'm a boy, and Shiliefan's state of mind made Ronan proud. As he thought, the other person's temperament did not change, even when he was about to die. He was going to defend the honor of a knight, then he took the opportunity of his indignation and suddenly hit him in the face. The opponent staggered backwards in pain. Ronan urgently told Acel, right now, Maria Acel, run. Just like that, Shiliefan watched helplessly as his enemy fled. Ronan took his 2 friends and ran away. Suddenly, in the distance, the head of the security force stepped forward. He pushed through the crowd and spoke loudly. I heard there was a fight here. When he saw Shiliefan with bruises on his face, he panicked. What's wrong? Are you okay? Who would dare do that to you? Please describe those people. The academy security team will chase. Shiliefan turned around to fix the wound on his face. Then he said again, no need to be polite. I'm not the family's son now. Duke family, but just a candidate with commoner status. Surely you don't need to worry. This is a fair duel. I will take care of it myself. And after calming him down, Shiliefan turned to treat the wound on his body. But the next image made him stop. The sword in his hand has been cracked ever since. This is a sword made from the highest grade mithril. He thought that Ronan's swordsmanship was nothing outstanding, but he didn't expect that he could cause the sword to be like this. This aroused interest in Shiliefan. This definitely won't end here. The next day, on the outskirts in the Shimo forest. After walking for a while, Ronan's footsteps stopped. After looking at the map and comparing the situation outside, it was definitely nearby, and the cell was tiredly running after. Waiting for him to regain his strength, he hesitantly asked, Ronan, is this okay? Ronan looked at him in confusion. Acel confusedly explained, I'm talking about the person you beat yesterday. I heard he was the heir to the Duke Grancia family, the family second only to the royal family. You broke his nose. Tar, what if he takes revenge? Ronan said without any fear, don't worry, he is a good person, just crazy about swordsmanship. He always maintains his principles and beliefs. is everyone's ideal model for the hero who always protects the weak, or we can say the image of a perfect gentleman. Maybe he would say what happened yesterday was a fair duel. If not, we are behind bars now. Obviously Ronan's words are correct. You understand Shiliefan so well that you can know what the other person will say. After hearing Ronan's explanation, Asel felt more secure. Ronan then spoke again, but more importantly, look over there, I think we're here, the spirit veins that Professor Varen mentioned. Fernando Springs. Don't know why young Mana cries out to the world and gathers in one place, creating bodies of water called spiritual veins, and by its existence, Mana will seep into the surrounding area. An ordinary stone can become a high-class Mana stone, and a blade of weed can also be turned into a magical herb, famous for its miraculous uses. Its value is immeasurable, and most people try to capture it. After feeling the abundant spiritual energy in the water, Ronan couldn't help but feel, that professor is truly generous, yet he let us come here to hatch an egg. How do you feel, Asel? Do you feel any difference? Asel kept nodding. This is the first time I've felt a dense amount of mana gathered in one place. If I were here, I could easily perform magic transfer, stronger than usual. And the egg in his pocket was the same as before. It was absorbing magical energy at an incredible speed. It seemed to like the energy here. Ronan also seemed to agree with her opinion. I see, I don't know. Maria would also like this place very much. If she wasn't busy with business, she would have come with us. What a pity. Asel nodded in agreement with his opinion. Suddenly his body shook slightly. Asel hesitantly asked Ronan, isn't it a bit strange? Ronan looked at him confused. When Asel continued, Professor Varen said, because there is a lot of mana here, there will be many types of fantasy coming here to nest. Even normal animals are the same. This place is very good. But why don't we hear any animal sounds? Hearing her speak, Ronan suddenly realized. The surrounding area was extremely quiet, with absolutely no sign of other species. He blamed himself, he was too subjective. Everything is out of control again. Why do things like this happen everywhere you go? Your attitude makes Asel confused. What's going on? Ronan did not explain but reminded, mentally preparing to go to Asel, at the same time deep in the forest, where light can hardly reach. The carcass of an animal that has just been finished off. It emitted a bloody smell as if signaling the appearance of strangers. Asel hesitantly turned around and asked, what do you mean it smells of blood? Ronan stared in one direction and said, what do you think I mean? Which means there were guests here before us. Of course the guests are here. Is an uninvited guest. At the same time, deep in the forest, there was a group of people aiming arrows in his direction. Ronan quickly picked up his sword to prepare for battle. One strike of his sword immediately caused those arrows to lose their power. Suddenly an arm appeared. Boom! A shadow monster appeared. Surely you have seen this arrow before. In my previous life, I was in the disciplinary team barracks. A teammate picked up that arrow and said, do you know how terrible this thing is? Suddenly Minjun discovered something and said, wait. What do you guys think, Captain? You want it too, don't you? Captain Ronan said with a laugh. He's starting again. When you get caught, you use it to hunt, so what are you still bragging about? Will you shut up? The other teammate immediately argued back. I tell you, these two are good things. The person who used this arrow hundreds of times and successfully poached was a high-ranking member of our organization. Suddenly, Minjun realized something. Now seeing that arrow again, Ronan immediately recognized that it was a group. He wondered if their rank was the same as that of hunting dogs. Thinking about this, Ronan seemed a little excited. He reminded Asel, you should hide somewhere, try to turn into a hedgehog at the end of the road. Dongjin took out the gift, looked at it and happily said, thank you, I will use it well. Understanding that, his body rushed towards the deep forest. Inside the forest, the group of Calaboro people were hiding to one side and chatting. What is this bastard? He just stopped all the arrows with just one slash, all these arrows soaked in mana. Who the hell is he? At this moment, Ronan had chased closer to the crowd. The leader immediately ordered his subordinates to bring all the sacks and we will surround and attack him. Ronan quietly observed their actions. As he thought, this guy was very decisive. Is it because his husband was different from the brats he encountered in the forest? When he saw them spreading out in all directions, he realized the situation was not good. While talking, Minjun said, actually, the battalion commander of the training station gave me a proposal, recalling the time I met the battalion commander and discussed it with him in the room. Ronan continued to say, why, it seems you guys haven't heard the news yet. I am the youngest hound from the Dharma's tribe, a Hayute. Calaboro's group quickly returned to confirm with Ronan, are you really a hunting dog? Ronan looked surprised and affirmed, that's right. What, don't you believe me? The leader immediately said, how can I believe a kid like you is a hunting dog? If you said you were from a low-level tribe, I would still believe it. Ronan looked careless and replied to them, "If you don't believe me, then why don't you ask the wolf of your tribe, which I really advise. Thinking about someone's stomach is a bad habit, wild dog brother." The most pitiful thing in the world, Ronan's challenge made him angry. He was so worried that he grabbed his collar and cursed, "You miserable brat, how dare you insult me? Do you want me to chop off your limbs?" Even though Ronan had a knife on his neck, he still did not panic. He calmly replied, "His habit of cursing people is equally bad. The end of such a person is usually the same. There is no ending." Another of his friends came forward to stop him. "Hey, calm down, just because he's a child you doubt him. He knew about and mentioned the Kalaboro hierarchy as well. Only our army knows that. Just confirm with the captain first. If he doesn't lie, we will have a disagreement with the Dharma's tribe later." Right at this moment, from behind the tree, a large figure stepped forward. He raised his voice and said, "I told you to stay quiet and guard and always be ready. What the hell is going on?" His words made the crowd turn at the same time. They respectfully greeted the leader of the Demaya tribe, Wolf Viam. The Bauraus immediately let go of Ronan's collar and gradually walked towards him. "Just in time, Captain," this kid said. While he was whispering, Ronan happily smiled. The wolf was here. "That means they're all here, right?" Viam, after hearing his subordinate's story, loudly asked, "Hey kid, are you a Hyute from the Dharma's tribe?" Ronan warmly answered him, "Yes." The other person looked at him with suspicious eyes. "Strange, why did you come here? It's already been decided that this mountain range belongs to Demaya." Ronan did not appear confused at all. On the contrary, he calmly admitted, "The basic gist of the Hunter Corps swordsmanship is to adapt it to suit yourself." Before the enemy could react, Ronan destroyed everyone near him. The sight of his comrades dying right before his eyes made the leader stunned, but Ronan smiled happily. "I just used a name I knew." Then, the lieutenant continued to speak loudly, "First of all, the basics are important, so look at me and follow, don't roll your eyes around but focus on." With one swift sword strike, the opponent's head was severed from his neck. The Bauraus stood there stunned. Minjun looked at the sword movements and realized something. He knew why he trained with the main. His outcome would be terrible. As soon as his voice fell, the Bauraus looked at his severed finger in horror. The blue veins on his face appeared, and a feeling of pain came at the same time. He was shouted down by someone. As soon as the scream rang out, Ronan ordered him to shut up. I threw him a piece of paper and said, "If you don't want to get punched here, calm down and take this. From now on I will write down the locations of all the tribes I know." He didn't understand what Ronan meant. Then while thinking and practicing the movements, it was time to jump up high, surprising everyone. Then there is no reason to keep him alive anymore. Bauraus begged in fear, "Don't kill me, you can do whatever you want me to do, but I don't have anything to draw a map with." Ronan immediately said, "What are you whining about? I'll make you a pen." "I don't have anything to say, Private First Class Kim Minjun knows." Not long after, he finished drawing what he needed. Ronan nodded appreciatively. "I think he drew very beautifully, so talented. This guy is obsequious and flattering, thank you, so as promised, you will forgive me, right?" Ronan pushed the piece of paper into his body before answering him, "What about this?" Just when he didn't understand anything, Ronan's sword slash caused the opponent's body to be cut in half. Then started practicing according to the lieutenant's instructions.